So till now, we have just went through the you know architecture of Chronicle SIM and what is the uh, comparison between some other SIM tools as well, and how the ingestion works using forwarders and direct ingestions and third party APIs or direct APIs or what it is. And we just understand we just understood that the concept of UI walkthrough, how all the dashboards works in the basics. And yesterday we just covered most of the concepts on raw log search and what kind of search we can do on it and what is the benefit on it. And when compared to some other sim, what's major difference over here when it comes to raw log search and what kind of search we can do over that. And we just practically saw that a few sessions. And today it's an important topic. This is an UDM concept and searches in Google Chronicle sim. This is very important. It is because once the ingestion has happened, we are more focused on the raw logs that has been ingested for all the devices, and we are making sure that all the raw logs ingested are in the proper structure and processed. So once the logs which are ingested in the proper structure and processed, we need to verify what are the values and key present in the particular raw log uh, to map to a particular field that is called as UDM field. So this works as a mechanism where we can map the values that's seen in the raw log to make further analysis on the detection part. So when it comes to some other sim, right, we will have some attribute labels. For example, if we have any IP addresses in the raw log or host name in the raw log or email ID or whatever it is, we will analyze that value that's seen in the raw log and then we will map to the particular attribute label. That is either it can be IP underscore address or email underscore address or target.ip or principal.ip or destination IP or source IP, whatever it is, we just directly map according to each and every SIM's architecture. But here in Google Chronicle, they named as UDM, that is Uniform Data Model. So, which is something, what are the values that's seen in the raw log? We are mapping to a certain field that is called as UDM. So the concept is really important because we are writing the passes and we are writing the detection rules on the basis of this UDM fields. All these detections and passes, how it works is that we have to be more cautious on this UDM fields. What are the exact UDM fields we are mapping to? Because for example, if you want to detect any login failure attempts from a username called as Rahul, on that case we have to cross check with whether the values of Rahul, for example, whether I see username is Rahul. On that case, we will map this username as Rahul at Orbus.com. On that case, we will map this username to your principal username or observer.username. Or if you have an email ID, we will go to the email underscore addresses or target email underscore addresses, all those stuff. So you will map this particular Rahul at Orbus.com to a UDM field called as email underscore addresses. So we are writing a rule to detect multiple login failure from the particular UDM field, that is email underscore address from the particular username Rahul at orbus.com. So this is more cautious and we have to be it is pretty complex, but if you practice and get the concept of this UDM, it will be pretty easier for you guys to write the passes and write the URL rules for your detection. So just be attentive and let's make this an interactive session. And if you have any doubts, even a single doubt, you can just come to me. Okay, let's go ahead. What is UDM? This is a universal data model. So it's a standard schema used by Google Chronicle SIM to structure and normalize security event data from various log sources. That means basically whenever we see the raw logs getting ingested for all the log sources which we have been ingested into this platform. We have to cross check whether all the raw logs are in the proper format, and all the raw logs are has some expected values in this particular raw log. And then using this UDM field, we are making data proper structure and normalized security event data. That is something, as I already told. If you have any, for example, if you have any login logs, then you will be able to see that username, IP addresses, city, and host name, and many user details will be seen in that login attempts. On that case, each and every values that's seen in the raw log has to be mapped, I mean structured to a particular UDM field for the purposes of detections. Because for the further analysis and investigation, we are writing this particular ARL detection rules and the passes according to the UDM fields which you are mapping to the values which is seen in the raw log. So that's why we are using this uniform universal data model. So, yep, the second point is that it allows for more consistent and powerful querying, analysis, and investigation across different logs of different types of logs. And because in most cases, when we are coming to the data that needs to be queried, we have some historical data containing some certain values, or for the further analysis of your incident response and investigation across. For example, if you see any malicious actions or threats across your log sources, on that case, we will be, uh, you know, we can directly go to, UDM search and query for the particular UDM field. For example, we will have some several UDM field over here. I'll be explaining one by one. So on that case, you can directly go to the UDM search, and then you can query for your expected syntax which you're using. For example, if you need to query for principal dot host name is equal to XYZ something. On that case, you can directly go to the UDM search and you can search for it. Then you will get the result for the particular, I mean, you will get the result for particular logs contain this principal host name. So what's the purpose of this UDM field? This UDM field is to enable schema normalization for log data from various sources like firewalls, endpoints, servers, applications, and cloud services logs, or whatever it is. We need to enable and make the logs that has been ingested into a proper standardized format, so that we can use that for the particular analysis of further investigation and incident response using your ARIL detections. So that's the purpose we are using this UDM field, to ensure that the logs from all log sources can be queried in a consistent format using your predefined fields. So what are the values that's seen in the raw logs? You will be mapping to a particular field for each and every logs from the log sources which you're ingesting. So we can directly query that using, I mean, we can directly query the field which you are already mapped in the UDM search section. So this does this ensure that all the data which you are querying out for, you will get the results for all the logs that has been associated with that particular query in the UDM search. That's why we are using this particular UDM search. Benefits is that easier correlation, faster searches, and simplified analysis. That is something which I already told us, that for the correlation purposes of when it comes to detection purpose, we will be creating several rules to correlate but that rule with the particular raw logs present over here. We are using this benefit of this UDM search. And second one is the fastest search, is that we have a separate UDM search to query what are the UDM field you need to get it, or what are the logs that has been associated to the particular UDM field. And we can do a complex search as well. I'll show you how to do the searches as well. And simplified analysis is that simply we called as for the further investigation. When it comes to the detection part, we will be able to view several detection from the particular rule. On that case, we can directly check for the UDM field, and then we can take it for the further analysis. That's what the key benefit of this UDM search. And key features, what are the features available of this particular UDM field in Chronicle, is that structured data in a uniform format. Whenever a logs has been ingested, we have to make sure that the logs are in the proper format and in the structured format to, for the to make it easier for analysts to write your detection rules and investigate further and create your incident response. So that's the reason we are making the particular raw logs that are comes in. We are just making it in structured data. Sometimes it will be not in the proper format or unstructured. On that case, we will be using the custom passes to make that standardized. Once the parser is done, we will be able to view the structured data in an uniform format. So why we are relating this particular UDM with a parser is that, as I said, what are the values that present in the raw log we are mapping to this UDM field that is done by the parser. We used to write a parser. What is the use of this parser is that we are mapping each and every value to a UDM field using the logstash language. On that case, once the parser has been built up, we were able to see, for example, if you see any IP addresses in the raw log, it will be mapped to the principal IP in your parser and it will get deployed. In that case, in the UI, you are able to see your left column is raw log and right column is your all your UDM fields. It is working only through your parser deployments. So this post that, using that UDM field and the raw log analysis, we will be writing your RIL rules, what needs to be detected and what kind of the alerts needs to be generated, and all those stuffs we will be checking in the coming days. So this provides a set of common fields, for example, username, source IP, event IP, to simplify searches and analysis. This is simply what is the feature available in your UDM search is you can just directly go there and you can search for the fields. For example, you can directly type as username or source IP or event type to simplify your searches and analysis. Before going to the next slide, I'll just go to the UI and show you how to make a search of UDM. Here, you can just go to directly to your search, and this will be your UDM search. Were you guys able to see my screen? Now is it loading properly?
Yeah, there's little delay, but it is loading.
Yeah. th- Thanks for confirming it. Okay, this is your idiom search. So as I already told, there are several UDM fields and several we are using several field events entities in the UDM part. So basically, let's start from the basics things. So this is your search, and whatever you want to search it over here, you will get your results over here. Principal dot application, you can directly give your string what you have to check it, principal dot application as xxx. On that case, you will get what you're searching out for. Your principal application is equal to triple x. On that case, if you click on the run search, so what are the events that contains and principal application is to triple x? In that case, you will get this particular result. This is a simple example how you will be searching your UDM search. On the same case, let's go ahead from the first thing. It is um, here it is. Let's go from the log search and identify what is the UDM field and what is the thing happening in the UDM field. Okay, let's go ahead and click on some AWS WAF. Yesterday we just checked it and we are searching out for the raw logs for the ADM search. Okay, AWS WAF. Okay, we can take it from last 1 month of data. Yeah, we have got the data for AWS WAF from the last 1 month. So this, as I already explained, this left column will be your raw logs from past 1 month. And here is the details of your log search, log source, that is AWS WAF. And left column will be your raw log. So it is the AWS WAF raw log. And right column will be all your UDM events. Means what is the UDM fields which you are mapping to a particular values present in the raw log. That's what why we are using this particular UDM fields. For example, the major I can take it as a major what I would say uh, yeah, sure. Network application protocol, that is HTTP. Here we will be having a HTTP. That's why it is getting mapped to our UDM field. Yep. HTTP version is taken as HTTP underscore 2.0. That will be mapped over here. Let me show you. Okay, let's take it as a simple thing. The value of this app.investment.organization. This is your value in the raw log, and it got mapped to your particular target dot first name. So the values that is present in this particular raw log of app dot simple under hyphen investments dot organization, it got mapped to your target host name. This how it got, how we as the security sim engineer, how we will know what value is mapped to your particular UDM field. That's the problem you will be facing when you're comes to the UDM field. For example, basic things like timestamp, IP addresses, host name, and destination addresses, or some process ID or actions. We know that we can directly map to your time in just a timestamp or even timestamp, and we have to understand that IP address is principal IP or target IP, and the host name is destination host name or target host name or principal dot host name or observer dot host name. It's all about the analysis you do from the raw log. If you have this raw log, you have to do some analysis in the raw log and check whether the particular IP will be, mapped to your particular specific host name. We will be have four host names: observer.host name, principal.host name, intermediary host name, target.host name, whatever it is. So we have to, make some analysis on how this particular host name will be mapped to which host name we have to do it from our perspective. So this expanded thing will give you the details of your event type and log source and network connection status and TLD. This is all how it comes from the UDM fields, which where we used to develop a parser and map these particular values to your particular UDM fields that is available in the right column. Once the parser has been deployed, you will get all the values over here. What values mapped to which UDM field, and this resource group ID might be mapped to which UDM field. All those steps you will be able to understand. To be more familiar with it, we'll just go through few of your important UDM fields. I'll explain it from the I know UDM document of Google itself, so you will get a good idea on what is the main UDM fields which you're using in our day-to-day life. I mean, day-to-day checks or analysis, all those stuff. So this uniform field list, unified data model field list, we are using some important fields. For example, I would show as metadata. Just a second, I'll open that. Get some good idea on how it uniform data. In that case, yeah, okay. Does let's start from one by one. Okay. So this unified data model, this gives this page as some usage guide. I'll explain it from here so that you guys can feel simple when you're you know when you're doing it for further analysis, or when you're trying to write something. I mean, when you're trying to read something. Oh, unfortunately, I can't send this message. But okay, I'll share it. I'll ask the team to share it with the recordings. So, yep, this link is very crucial. So, for example, let's go ahead with the simple UDM field. So, first of all, event metadata dot event underscore type. This is one of the UDM field which you are using to map. What is the purpose? Let's see here. Specifies the type of event. If an event has multiple possible types, this value must specify the most specific. For example, in the raw log here, we have to analyze what kind of this event type will be by cross-checking this data here. For example, you can cross-check with your data over here. You are not sure about which event type has to be mapped for this particular raw log. On that case, you can refer with all the event type it is mentioned over here. These are all out of the box event type where Google team has been built up and send it for you. For example, if you have a parser, OOTB parser, if you look into in the parser section, I will explain more into this. If you look into the event type, certain parsers which is developed by Google team has their these kind of event type according to the raw log they have developed. But in the custom cases, we need to analyze what kind of the, for example, if you're creating a custom parser to map a particular event type, on that case, we have to analyze which log, I mean, what kind of log we are receiving in and what kind of event type is received. We can just go through all these, event types available over here. That's the purpose of this event type. Specify the type of event. Just analyze what is the event that coming into the chronicle. If an event has multiple possible types, for example, if you have an event, but it considers, I mean, it might confuse or make some complexity to understand which event type I have to map it. You will have some analysis. If it is a user login, you will be thinking that, oh, this event type will be your user underscore login. On that case, we need to cross check with the sheet. This sheet is really helpful on which value must specify the most specific type. We have to understand which UDM field in this column has the specific events that matches the particular raw logs. And encoding will be must be one of the predefined UDM event enumerated types. We are calling this as short form enum. That is enum value. It is enumerated, but we call it as enum. Most must be one of the predefined UDM event type enum types. That means what are the event types you are mapping to any of the value that must be in this list. If it is out of this list, that doesn't work. You will throw out an error while developing your parser because it need Google team has specifically analyzed and researched and they have taken all the UDM fields of event type and they have given our list. So what are the events it will comes in? We have to analyze particular events and map to your particular event enum type which is seen in the scroll. I'll just focus in the bottom. Possible values. The following list of the possible values for event type within the UDM. So we have to map this particular. We have to analyze whether which event type will map to the particular raw logs which you are seeing in. For example, here in this raw log, we are seeing that event type will be your metadata event type. So here it is metadata. It has mentioned as metadata dot event underscore type is network dot http network underscore http. We have to just go through this particular raw log. You have to just go through this particular raw log and understand the concept of the raw log. That is a small challenging thing when it comes to either any of the sims which are going on. We have to analyze what kind of the events that has been generated over here and what kind of the information that presents over here. It says like AWS, I mean AWS might be AWS raw log, but we have to understand what is the exact concept of this particular raw log says, and you can make use of your documentation from the AWS part, or you can make use of your chat GPT to understand what kind of raw logs comes in and what is the scope of this particular raw logs and what it can be. If you understand what kind of raw log it is, we can map it to the particular event. This says that it is into network.http. So okay, just let's randomly search for any network. Let's see what are the options will be shown over here. Yeah, here it is. We have a UDM field over here. That is something the network telemetry, including raw protocols payloads such as DHCP information and DNS information, and as well as the protocol summaries for protocols such as HTTP, SMTP, and FTP, and flow and connection events from netfall and firewalls. So this is something we are getting the raw logs from the AWS, AWS WAF firewall, which is Web Application Firewall. We are able to analyze the raw log, and according to that we have to map this metadata even to your network HTTP. On many cases, the when it comes to out of the box posture, it will be already mapped to the mapped the event type to your network dot. Event type to your respective UDM field. But in some cases, when it comes to the custom development or custom changes, on that case, we need to analyze on what is the exact events that has been received and what kind of information seen in the raw log, and then we have to map to the particular event type which is available in this list. On the same case, if any of the analyst events comes, we have to cross check whether that is an analyst add comment or update priority. On the same case, update status or update verdict, we have to analyze that raw log and what kind of the raw logs we are receiving it. According to that, we have to map this particular event type that to this particular UDM field. On the same cases, here comes the device events. When we are receiving some device events raw logs, we have to check whether the device config update or firmware update or program upload or download, whatever it is. On the same case, when it comes to see, this is something important. When we have some most of the email events, right, there will be only three option in the event type. So this is pretty simple. We can analyze the events that they are receiving from the email part, and then we can directly map your event type to either email uncategorized or transactions or URL click, and which is unspecified. The events that are unspecified, we are not aware of about it, and nothing has been specified in the raw log. We can make it as event type unspecified. And when it comes to the file category raw logs, like file, what are the file logs? For example, it is we are just going to the file logs and understanding that it is a file and category. It comes under the file and categorized or file copy logs or file creation, deletion, modification, or whatever it is, we have to map according to that. So this is important. What is generic events that don't fall into any other category, including uncategorized Windows events or whatever it is. In some cases, you will be not able to find any of the you do you, I mean, if some cases, if you think this log will won't fall under any of the event types that's seen in this particular document, in that case you can directly map to a generic event. In most cases, we will be able to view the logs that they are generated will be going to your generic event. For example, if I just go to some other log, you will see some of generic event. Let's go to randomly click on three log. Once you map your event type, you will get your event type details over here. This generic event is something, if you don't see any of the events that don't fall under any other category, you have to map it to your generic event type. Let's go ahead. Here generic event. I'm not seeing any generic event. But when it comes to the protection or some other customer environment, most cases we will be able to we will we will get the events which are not under this particular list. On that case, yep, you can just go ahead and map the event to be a generic event. This is something because those logs that has been ingested will won't fall under the any of the UDM event type which you're seeing in this sheet. So that's why we are moving into a generic event. Let's go ahead, and if I just load it, we'll get back. And this group activity is same as group uncategorized similarly. And mutex will be your mutual exclusion object events, and it will be similar to that. And when it comes to the network logs, right, we have to just cross verify with the network uncategorized or network connections or network DHCP, DNS, or whatever it is, according to the events that has been generated. On the same case, when it comes to process and category injection, we have these many seven number of UDM fields available for event, particularly for event type, and this registry
So
events
Rahul,
and
one question. See,
yep,
yes, like all these UDM fields that you are seeing, referring to
yep,
us. So we have to memorize those things that in network, what can be the potential UDM field? See, if I understood you correctly, that
yep.
these UDM field will be required when we are doing the parsing. We parse the raw logs, and once the raw logs are parsed, so the metadata need to be parsed in these UDM fields. Correct?
See, your assumption is, I mean, your thing is correct, but I just wanted to make you clear once again is that, when it comes to the parser part, it specifically we have to use this fields to metadata event type alone. We have several fields to be mapped. For example, target IP, host names, everything will be
Hmm.
we will be mapping on it. This data are specifically to your event underscore type field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you don't have to memorize for it. You have to just analyze what kind of logs we have been getting that. According to that, you can map this UDM, I mean, event type UDM field. This is one of the EDM. I mean, these values are enum values, but this metadata underscore event, I mean, this metadata event underscore type will be a one of your UDM type in your UDM fields. Got it? This is your primary event, I mean, UDM field that needs to be mapped. When it comes to the first part, what I have to say, I will just share you another PPT which is available from the organization level mine. I'll just share you guys later after the break. Okay. So you will get what are the important field that needs to be mapped. If I explain all these things, you will get confused. I'll just showcase your slide. What are the important fields that needs to be mapped? So that's why I'm explaining this is one of your important field. That means the metadata event type is your important field. So that's why I'm explaining it. According to this, I mean, when you're mapping this event underscore type, you have to just go to this document and to cross verify which logs, I mean, the logs which are coming in, we are mapping to a specific event type. Got it? Or you want me to explain once again? Vipin?
Yeah, sorry, you're asking something?
No. Are you clear or you want me to explain once again? I'll just go with
Uh,
some other example as well. You will get some idea. Okay.
sure.
So, okay. And using this metadata event type, how can we make a, let's go one by one. If your guys are clear with this metadata event type, we can go ahead how to search this particular UDM, particular file in this particular UDM
See,
search.
Rahul, actually, see, I created a lot of use cases on Chronicle. Okay, so
Yep.
I want that like a clear cut let's say right now we are discussing metadata dot event underscore type, right? So
Yeah.
when we have to use principal dot name, right?
Mm,
Like there is a strict format in which
mm,
all these fields need to be parts. So what is the
mm,
format from where let's say the username, it is going to
mm.
come under you principal dot username, right?
Yeah.
Let's say the process ID creation. So event type
Mm,
is equal to process ID, right? So
mm.
that sort of format should be there so that the team on the ground that who's getting the training, they should be aware.